Alright guys, Jackzer here. Today I'm going to be showing you my Simagic Alpha Mini wheelbase settings in the Sim Pro Manager software. So as I'm getting the Alpha Ultimate soon, I'm going to be spending quite a lot of time on that, and this is probably the last day that I'm going to be on this wheelbase, and I thought this is a video that I've been pushing off for ages, and there's been a few updates with the software, so I thought I might just do my settings, and that way if anyone asks I can point them to the video. So here's my settings. These are my settings. These may not work for you. You may try them and go, whoa, geez, I don't like that. I like a kind of sharp wheel. That's just the way it is. I like a sharp wheel. I like a lot of speed in the wheel, like as in how quick it can change direction. I like a wheel that doesn't have too much filtering on it. There are some pretty cool filters now that I'll give you some options to try. So when you look at this software, it's not too scary. I'll explain it in the way I know it to be. So it might not be perfect, but it's the way I understand it. So this is all you have. You have a few other settings hidden away in here. And we'll get to those in a second because there's a really cool one in there. So as far as angle, depending, this is for iRacing, these settings. Now, these settings may be different for other simulators. I've used it in Assetto Corsa. It feels great. I don't need to change anything. It's awesome. You know, you have some FFB slider in Assetto Corsa. So these are my iRacing and Assetto Corsa settings. Again, in Assetto Corsa, I like a nice sharp wheel. Very simple. When it comes to setting the angle, well, first thing you want to do is center your wheel. So really take your time doing this, because last thing you want to be in is in a race and your wheel is kind of tilted left and you're going straight. So really place your wheels super steady, because your rig may be off, your desk may be off, whatever you're mounted to. Make sure it's steady in the middle and then press center. At least it's centered here, and then when you go into the simulator of your choice, you can center it again. In iRacing, there's a centering process you need to do. Angle, you could set, as far as I know, you can set this on 900 or 1080. In most cases, the simulator will sort it out for you. So if you go in a Formula car, you know, you only have this much steering, basically. If you go in a road car, you have a lot more, like a Mazda. If you go in, let's say, a GT3 car, again, it's reduced. I put on 900 in the simulator. I configure my wheel, I do the spins, and then I hold it left, and then I hold it center, and then it judges that I have 900 degrees of rotation. So I leave it on 900. The hard lock angle, again, that's 900. Limit strength, I leave this the same, by the way. Limit strength, so this is when you turn the wheel and then you hit the bump. That's how hard this is. So this is soft, which means there's a soft kind of bump stop, you can imagine. Here's normal, which is a bit stiffer, and then there's firm, which is really super hard. In general, I leave this on soft, and I never really get to the bump stop because I'm never turning that much in iRacing. I'm usually circuit racing and stuff like that, not drifting, so I don't really find the bump stop as such. Moving over to the basic settings now. So here, force feedback, I leave it on 100%, as this is a 10 Newton meter wheelbase. I like all the power I can get, and then I let the simulator I use modulate the power. So I control the feedback in reality inside the simulator. So I leave this on 100. Same with max torque, but we'll get to this section in a second. Smoothness, I leave it on 0. There was an update a while ago which gave 360 hertz force feedback to the wheelbases from iRacing and other simulators. That's kind of standard, which means that you don't really need the smoothness anymore, and it operates well. Temperature wise, it's okay. It's not so aggressive. You're not really going to destroy your base. I've been using it like that for quite a while. It was fine. Maybe a couple months ago I had it on 1, but ever since the new update with the wheelbase, 0 works fine. So this is smoothness. This kind of stops heat. In general, the descriptions of these are pretty good. You know, controls the smoothness of force feedback signal. Lower values provide more detail at the cost of increased noise and FFB spikes, so you can get a bit of jinkiness going on. But as I said, I like it sharp, especially with curbs and stuff. I just like to feel these huge crashes in the wheel. It's the way I am. Wheel rotation speed is how fast the wheel moves. Again, I encourage you to try this out for yourself. Set it to 100, set it to 0, set it to 50, set it to 75, and then maybe try my recommendation of 100. If you want, 80 can be cool as well. Dan Suzuki did a video quite a long time ago. He found a nice number to be around 45. There's lots to play with here. Don't feel intimidated by it. I just like it pretty sharp, and I like it moving quick in my hands. But in general, if this is too sharp for you, try 60. 60 is cool, gets the wheel nice and lively, and it's still kind of safe in that regard. I like 100. Feedback detail, this is up to yourself. I was rocking 0 for a while, but then I decided to try 20, and now I'm kind of halfway in 10. It's a bit of a weird feeling when you go race with 0 and then you bump it up to there's a message. It's a bit of a weird feeling when you race with 0 and then you bump it up to 20. It feels like a lot of a difference. But one thing I will encourage is when you're trying new wheel settings, do 10 laps. Just do 10 laps. Let yourself get used to it. Don't just do one or two. Give it a crack and see what you think. Feedback detail will like kind of give you the feeling of suspension, what the car is doing underneath you. It really adds a different effect. It's radically different than using 0. I will say that zeros can be quite pointy, and that although that sounds good, having the extra detail of what the car is doing can make things a bit safer, easier to find the limit, easier to get on the limit, easier to recover from the limit, all that kind of stuff. So, maybe try 20, see how it is, try 0. You don't have to go extreme. I'm kind of figuring things out at the moment, so I'm leaving it at 10 and it's working out pretty good for me. Although I see a lot of people do love 20. So 20 could be a decent starting point for you. And if you like it, leave it there because, as I've heard a lot of people say, why be boring in life? Whack it up. Now, mechanical damper. So what the mechanical damper is adds a bit of weight to the steering wheel. It's a bit not my cup of tea. I like the car controlling where the wheel goes. I don't like anything else controlling where the wheel goes. So that's really not for me. If you find that you'd like a bit more stability with your driving and a bit more consistency, maybe trying 5 or 10% here could be useful for you. Mechanical friction, same again. This is kind of meant to be like the tires under the car, this kind of thing, and it adds a bit more weight into the wheel. I'm not mad about it. What it says here is adjusts the amount of friction applied to the wheel as it rotates. This is a constant effect used to add weight and improve wheel stability. I'm not mad about it. Again, you could try it at super low percentages. I wouldn't be going having this too high. This isn't my friend, to be honest. Mechanical inertia is very, very interesting, though. This can give you more consistency if you're struggling with consistency. What mechanical inertia does is very simple, super simple. When you turn the wheel left, let's say you're driving in a straight line, you turn the wheel left, and then you go quickly to turn right. The car, which is the wheel, but the wheel is your car, thinks that you're still turning left. So if you turn 90 degrees left, the mechanics in the car have inertia and they continue on past that point and then come back. Similar to how things move in a car in real life, bits and bobs move, weight moves and stuff like that. So it can take out the laser precision you need if you have your wheel set up super raw and very pointy like I do. And it can add a tiny little bit of play like most cars usually do have. So try this in 5 or 10. You should be able to feel it straight away, especially in pointy cars such as Formula, fast downforce cars and stuff. Even GT3 and Mazdas, you'll be able to feel this effect that when you turn, it kind of keeps turning a little bit, which means that you don't always have to be super, super perfect with your turning. The car has a little bit to give and take. Personally, I've been turning this off as I've been going for a more aggressive wheel, and I don't want the extra bits going on. So that's it. Feedback frequency. This is an interesting one. Now, this can make the force feedback more smoother. Again, I just try it on 9, try it on 0. That's the best way I can tell you to do this. Go into the sim, iRacing or whatever it is, tab out, put it on 9, go drive, tab back, put it on 0. You'll know what I mean. For me, the wheel feels absolutely dead with any of this. I just can't do it. It can help with heat and stuff like that. Ever since their recent update with the 360 hertz in iRacing, it's really made a huge difference as to they've encouraged you to leave this on 0, whereas before the normal preset came on 1 or 2. So 0 is good here for me. Other effects, I wouldn't go touching that in here. Mechanical spring, I'm not too interested in. So it's like, there's a spring effect. So the wheel is trying to center itself once it stops moving. So it has a center spring, which can be quite handy, let's say, if you have one of the Alpha or the Ultimate, but even with the 10 Newton meter wheelbase, that you have someone young on and they're wanting to race, but you don't want them having, being injured. This could be useful, I guess, just to use the spring effect rather than the actual in-game force feedback coming out at them because maybe they could get hurt. But for me, I'm leaving it on 0. Center damper. This is a cool one. I can't remember if these come by default on 0. But what I will say is center damper on 5 or 10 is unreal for your experience driving. What it does is when the wheel is in the center, it'll kind of tone down the force feedback. It won't give you crazy bumping. It'll help with the oscillations. It'll help with any bouncing going down straights, especially when you're going down a bumpy road. Let's say like Formula cars at Monza in iRacing. It'll help if the wheel is centered. It'll kind of just tone things down a little bit and add a damper. Um, as the vehicle speed increases, the steering wheel becomes heavier and more stable near the center. So reduces oscillations when driving at speed, oscillations being this kind of left-right motion that motors do. So I like that on 5%. I had it on 10, but I just lowered it down a little bit. All these guys I just leave. The in-game does that, I believe. So they're my in-game settings for iRacing. As far as how I configure my force feedback in iRacing, I put it as high as I can without it clipping. So I go into the game settings and options, and then I press the force feedback intensity button. I set that to 80%. So that means when I press auto, it should, in theory, set it automatically to 80% of my available torque that it's after measuring, or some magic like that. And then I wiggle it around from then. Sometimes it's not what I like. Sometimes I like it lighter, sometimes I like it firmer. But in general, I'll keep this here. This is the Sim Pro setting. So this is kind of the purpose of the video. If you have any questions at all, let me know down below. Hopefully it helped you. And just remember, these are my settings. This is like based off feel. People like different things. Some context, I've kind of grown out of this base, so I'm doing everything I can to get more strength, more power out of it, more viciousness out of it. So this wheel rotation speed may be a bit extreme for you. If you put this on 50 and you're thinking, oh, 50 feels good, but Jackzer had 100, go with 50. Go with 50. This just keeps the wheel nice and lively, really spices things up a little bit, having a nice high rotation speed. So that's why I like it on 100. When I get the Alpha Ultimate soon, I think I'll have to work my way up there. But in general, that's it, guys. So hopefully this video was helpful. Again, any questions at all, put them down below. Get in my Discord. You get to me super fast there, and hopefully I can help out more. So that's everything, guys. Thanks for watching.